Good morning. We are so excited to be here. Thank you for joining, Adrian. Thank you for having us for this year's Flash Tech Summit. Thank you to our awesome panelists who I am going to allow to introduce themselves. I'm Sharnikya Howard. I'll be your moderator. Good morning. So we will start with Michael.
Hello, my name is Micheal Banks. I am a cybersecurity engineering manager at AWS. Been there for about 4.5 years now, located in the DC area, originally from Augusta, Georgia. Love cybersecurity. I also do Army part-time as well. I do cybersecurity for the Army Reserves as well. And that's me in a nutshell.
Tierra.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me clearly? Awesome. My name is Tierra Lathan. I am a program manager for the Department of Defense supporting NSA. And I pretty much feel like a firefighter during the day. And that's my support to the tech space. I have a passion for seeing our youth and, Black and brown kids soar in the tech space. And I'm super excited to be here and continue to fight fires for the government.
And then I guess Deirra is next.
Okay, can everyone hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Technical difficulties on a Saturday. Hi, everyone. I'm Deirra Footman. I'm a network operations engineer for Twitter. I've been there for about 3 months now. I've spent 12 years in the network engineering space. And outside of working at Twitter and making sure tweets are going out, I do a lot of advocacy and work and knowledge sharing with the tech community as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, while I give Sharnika some time to actually come back, um, I guess some of the things, I'll sort of moderate here in the meantime. One of the questions I know Sharnika definitely wanted to ask, um, really, what is, tell us like what you do in your roles, and like what led you to that position. I guess Tierra, if you want to start.
Hey, Michael, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. It sounds like a little bit of an echo. I don't. Is it echoing on your side?
No, Tierra.
Okay, good. That's what matters. Okay, great. So by day, as a program manager, I'm responsible for financial execution and execution of the program as a whole. Um, I pretty much want to make sure that my people are well taken care of because happy people seem to accomplish a lot more things. And so my approach is a little bit different. Just to give you an example, uh, newcomers on my program, I buy them Chick-fil-A Happy Meals. It's a way to drop the guard, to get people familiar with me as a person, to the open door policy, I think, should go both ways, where they can come talk to me and I should be able to come talk to them. And so I try to make it a little bit more personal, not where it's lacking professionalism, but if something's going on at home, and they come share with me, I understand, okay, potentially there may be some drop in their production. Um, and so I feel like I have a good heartbeat, or I'm in touch with the heartbeat of my program, because I go around to each individual person every morning to speak to them, to see where they are. The leads on the program, I like to get a pulse on the true status, get clarification on what's done, because everybody's definition of done is different. And to make sure much like I do in my marriage, I heard you say this. Is this what you mean? So when I go to relay it to the customer, there is consistency in our message. And so my focus is, behind the scenes, I'm very much paying attention to that bottom line, paying attention to opportunities to grow our portfolio, new business. But I feel like it comes from relationships, and that's always been my approach. And customer service doesn't just go out to the customer that's paying us, it goes out to the customer that we pay. And so I believe that, in taking care of the people that work on my program as well as the people that we're serving. Thanks.
Thank you. And sorry, I'm back. Tech issues. Deirra, or
Yep,
did you already go? Okay.
I haven't gone yet.
Okay.
So my job at Twitter is pretty much to, in a nutshell, keep the network up and running. Day to day looks like a mix of a little bit of project work and then a lot of support work, making sure our devices are healthy, our links are online, communicating with our ISPs, and just making sure the service is up and available. I actually came into this role via Twitter. The manager reached out to me and asked me to come in and interview. She was impressed with what I had done online in the community and thought being a great communicator is what they needed on the team. So that was my way in.
Awesome. I just want to note something that Tierra shared in her intro, because I think this can apply to our scholars even now, like while you're in school, and that's clarifying the message or the instructions. You can be doing that with your teachers, your parents. When they tell you to do something, you can go back and say, like, this is what I heard you say. I want to clarify. So thank you for sharing that, Tierra. So, a second question, what actions did you take to prepare for this job, such as college coursework, internships, or volunteer experiences? And I'm going to start with you, Tierra.
Wow, this is really funny. um, just to be transparent, I believe God wastes nothing. And so my experiences from serving in church, uh, you know, children's church, serving out in the community, playing basketball. I've even tagged the name as the corporate point guard at my workplace and outside of work, uh, just putting people in position to score and be successful. And so it's been a combination of, communication work, community work, sports engagement. In college, obviously, I'm a business management. My undergrad was in business management. I'm currently pursuing a master's in information technology at University of Maryland. Um, I just wanted to get a little bit more familiar with the systems engineering process. I'm more so a functional engineer, so uh, they wanted me to. It felt like they kind of threw me in positions where the team just needed a manager more so than someone that could write design documents, and to ensure that the requirements were written specifically as they were supposed to. And so I kind of feel like my track has been a combination of everything, you know. So if I would give any suggestions to the people tuning in, I would say be fully present in whatever you're doing. If you're engaging in the community, be fully present there. There's something there that's going to be used later. If you're playing sports, be fully present there. There's something you're going to learn there that's going to be applied for later. I started as a help desk tech quality assurance, migrated to a sysadmin, did some batch monitoring, some configuration management. All of that has played a role into what I'm doing now. As a PM, I am very much responsible for release management, config management, and change management. I never thought I would be in this role because my goal here was to serve more on the technical side, not have to manage people again, but I got thrown into this role again. And so, if anything, I would just say be fully present in wherever you are. If there's something that piques your interest, research it. And that's what I did. And it ends up that those things that I research are things that I end up using later on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, you came to preach this morning. No, but thank you. I hope you all were listening and taking notes, because she dropped some nuggets and some gems that will be valuable to you. So, Deirra, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, pretty much. Just agree with everything Tierra said. I'd also say, don't be afraid to ask questions. I think a lot of people hold themselves back because they're afraid of looking stupid or they feel like they should already know something. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You'll be surprised what additional information you can learn, or maybe you were even looking at the wrong resource, or someone can direct you to something better. So that's all I'd add to that.
Okay. Before I jump to you, Michael, we want to introduce Ryan. Ryan, thanks for joining us. Better late than never.
Absolutely. So sorry for the delay,
Okay.
team, and pleasure to be here with all of the students as well.
Do you want to? We're only on our second question. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself to the students?
Oh, absolutely. Would love to. Don't want to take too much time. I'm Ryan Smith. I'm a technical recruiter at Amazon. Also a former student athlete. I played football at Auburn University from 2010 to 2014. Had a very short stint with the Dallas Cowboys as well as a professional athlete. But for the past 3 years, I've been supporting Amazon in a recruiting aspect. Of trying to hire great talent into our company. So, again, pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And then, Michael, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Sure. Like what I basically do is like incident response. So from a cybersecurity perspective, typically it's like either something bad has happened or someone's done something with the computer they probably shouldn't have. That's when my team engages and does, fixes the issue or see what's the issue is. So I can definitely resonate with the firefighter sentiment and mentality of that aspect. Some of the things I think that prepared me for the job, I think, is school. Um, in cybersecurity, there's a lot of things underneath that you need to know before you get there. So, sort of how computers work or networking, things like that. So I definitely think school curriculum, math, writing, especially at Amazon, since it's a writing culture, definitely helped me out once I started to do this job. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Ryan, what does a typical day at work look like for you?
A typical day at work, honestly, is trying to find great talent. So I'm able to, or have the ownership to create great relationships with various universities across the country. I primarily have been able to closely partner with HBCUs and student athletes as of late. So a typical day is creating relationships, doing different outreaches to create our pipeline of talent. I typically start my morning by, going through the emails, things of that nature, trying to follow up from the day before. But again, just more so process oriented and trying to find strategic ways to hire and develop the best talent.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the question to all of you. So, Tierra.
You broke up a little bit. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, sorry. So it's going to, okay. I'm breaking up. How about now? Better? Okay. Uh,
Hey, I think Sharnik was addressing the question to Tierra. Was it the same question? Yeah.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
The question was, what does a typical day at work look like for you?
So I block out time for coffee and my quick breakfast. Uh, and I have, right after that, I have a 30-minute block off in my calendar so people do not try to schedule anything. If somebody pops up past it, that's fine. But I need my 30 minutes. And then after that, we got a series of product owners meetings, some scattered stand-ups, some ad hoc meetings, some drive-bys, which is where somebody just pops up at their desk, so I need to run and pop up at someone else's desk. Um, I'm a little bit, I like quick response. I don't believe that everything that is urgent is important, but things often that are important are not considered urgent. And so I might just randomly, you know, go to a different site where our operations team is because I'm not getting an answer. But I don't come empty-handed. I got donuts. Um, as you guys can see, I like to bribe with food. Um, but it's pretty much I may have a clear at the end of my day prior to the next day. I tend to jot out things I need to focus on for the next morning. And I kind of review those things. I pray to ask for guidance if this is something I should be focusing on. And after my breakfast, I go make it happen. Sometimes things get changed out, but we make it work. I feel like everything is figure outable.
Cool. I think feel free to drive by my office anytime you want to bring food by. I will never bring down food. I think one of the things unique at Amazon is we have like sort of like this email list that's called vultures for all the buildings. So when people have like events, they leave food like at the events. So I do the opposite. I drive by other people's meetings and desks and grab their food. So that's one of the things I definitely like. And the answer to the question, a typical day at work for me is largely meetings since I manage a team, but my team gets to do all the fun stuff. So, if someone, they do drive-bys, but they do it from, calling people and paging people and engaging them. But I definitely resonate with the drive-bys. When I was doing that kind of work, I would have like security issues, and when people wasn't responding or they ducking and dodging, I literally go by their desk and you see this ticket, or I'm trying to get your attention on this. Can you respond to it? So I definitely do that and resonate with that. So definitely resonate with that. Cool. Um, so I guess I'll move to Deirra on the next question here. Uh, what do you find most rewarding about your job?
Most rewarding, I'd have to say, is the problem solving aspect. There have been many times where we've been, and not specifically at my current role, but in previous roles where we've kind of had to figure out solutions to work within our environment. One of the biggest things about networking is when you're learning it, you kind of learn it all in this like perfect, here's the best practice, here's how things should be. But when you get out in the real world, you find there are a lot of like duct tape solutions, as I like to call them. Either, the organization didn't have the money to implement the best practice, or maybe they didn't know how, or maybe they just had to shoehorn something in to fit with something else. So one thing is when you have your back up against the wall because of a deadline or something that needs to happen, being able to just get creative and take, here's what the vendor says we should be doing. Here's this spaghetti that we have. How can we make this work without breaking other things? That's number one. And then number two is going back to clean up the spaghetti. That is very satisfying when you can, rip something out and be like, all right, no more headaches from this. We can do something better. Um, and then finally, just being able to work with my colleagues who, networking might not be their area of discipline, and just being able to, we're remote now, but being able to just spin up a meeting or come by their desk and say, hey, let's figure out this problem. Let me teach you something and you teach me something about your side of things. So those would be my top three reasons I stay in networking, even though sometimes I want to pull my hair out.
Understood. Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, well, I love there. I loved your explanations of your work. That was very interesting to hear. From a recruiting aspect, I'd say the most rewarding is, being able to not only partner with student athletes, but help students and people from underrepresented communities across the country. Again, it's always rewarding to help someone on that career path or assist in that career change. So, my day-to-day work, able to partner and help, students and former alumni from those communities, is the most rewarding, I would say.
Thank you. So did everyone answer that one while I was gone? Can you all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Um,
I didn't answer it. For me, I think what's most rewarding as a manager, seeing some of the people on the team, having the ability to affect change on the team at the organization, at the company. So I mean, I get the opportunity to hire, women, underrepresented, people, people that look like me, but also affect change in the organization as well. So I've gotten to start like some programs and solve some security problems at the company. That's been fun. And I really love the interviewing process. So that's why I resonate with the recruiting people. Um, so I mean, I've done like over 300 interviews in like the couple of years I've been there. So I've gotten to do that at universities, schools, just at work. Also got to travel and interview as well. So it's always a fun opportunity to network and see all the great minds that come. And if I'm able to help them, that's the most rewarding piece I find.
awesome. Thank you. Tierra?
I would say giving people, being in position to give people a fair chance. And so, interviews that I had to take, I don't care what their resume said, because something could be left off, and you never know where they are in life. It could be something there. And then the second thing, I love the people, first of all, second of all, and third of all. But fourth of all, I would say the mission. It's really cool when my husband and I are watching Netflix and something that's, you know, cybersecurity or, national defense related comes up, and I'm just like, big smile, like, oh, yes. It's really, really cool to see how something that you're contributing to really does impact the world. And to me, the mission is very important to me.
Thank you. Okay. So what are employers looking for as they hire interns or new grads? I'm going to direct this to Ryan. If anyone else wants to answer, please feel free, but I'd like to hear from Ryan.
No, yes, great question. And, a lot of times when various businesses across our company or Amazon, or I would say any company, from a student aspect, are looking at projects that, gain your interest. So if you're unable to have job shadow opportunities or even the all of the internship opportunities that you would like, try and, be involved in a project that you would like to pursue later on down the line in your career path. If there's something that you can do in your own spare time, those things are able and should go on your resume, especially as a young student and trying to make that transition into your career. So again, to answer the question, I'd say projects and things that gain your interest, definitely put those things on your resume.
Thank you. Did anyone else want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on what Ryan said about doing stuff on your own time. Sorry. And projects. I'd also say if you can like start some sort of blog where you write about your projects, because it does a couple of things. It showcases your thought process as you're working through through projects, And also, it demonstrates your ability to communicate. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can even just do it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has an article feature where you can just write posts and just, kind of have that to go along with your resume to present to employers as well.
So now we like to hear if you all have information, please drop this in the chat. And with someone to help me. Oh, again.
Yeah, I think the request was if there anyone that has any questions to put that in the chat, and then we can, take some of those and answer those. Is that right? Okay, cool.
Am I a little better now? Y'all hear me?
Cool. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I see the next question. We were just talking about the value, what we feel like the value of the next generation could bring. So whoever wants to take that question, please feel free.
Sure. I guess in terms of the value piece, I think the next generation can bring solutions to other problems, because as the technology evolves, as people evolves, as our work situations evolve, I think it'll bring new challenges, new industries, new work, new positions. Because as the internet created, cybersecurity probably was not a job in some of the older generations pieces. So I think with change, as the metaverse evolves, and Roblox and some of the other technologies, platforms come out, I think maybe there'll be a new positions, new solutions, new marketplaces for things. And you never know, your job might be on a video game. It might be virtual and virtual reality or augmented reality. You never really know what the new era will be. So I think it'll actually have something as well. Curious, wonder if Sharnikya was back. If not, definitely got some questions coming in. So I want to do that.
Hey,
Mm.
it's breaking up. I'll add to that though, if you don't mind, Michael and panel. As far as the value that the next generation could bring as well, I think just a new perspective. As we all come from different backgrounds, what I continue to see as far as our company is our opinions and purpose matters. A lot of times we may think that, okay, if am I thinking something that's so elementary that the team just hasn't thought of it before? And a lot of times it's just a different perspective. So as we continue to grow and our next generation continues to grow, remain confident in everything that you're thinking about, and try and drive that purpose of project as you move forward.
Cool.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
What in the world? We need one of the students to solve this issue. Okay, I see that we have a student question though. What is it like working at Twitter? Is it fun to do? Tierra.
So I've been there 3 months, and it's like drinking from a fire hose. Um, it is fun. It's just been a lot to learn, as you can imagine. They are a global company, but it's been really interesting to see how they approach some things that I've only seen on a smaller scale, and just how they are, the level of innovation that they have advanced to with problems that, again, I've only seen on a smaller scale. This is my first time working in a 24/7 global company. But yeah, it's been very interesting. Definitely never a boring day so far.
Thank you. Any other questions from students that I might have missed? Okay. I don't see anything else. So thank you for sharing. Let's see. What did we answer the question of what value we think this generation can bring to the world? We did. Okay. Did you encounter any challenges academically and in the workplace? And how did you successfully overcome them? And we will start with you, Micheal.
Get the hard ones. Yes. So I think with every job I've had, there's always some challenges that exist. And really, how you handle them or how I've handled them has largely been the same. And for me, it's more of coming up with strategy and persistence. Um, so I think persistence is largely the key. Um, and when I say strategy, I think who you partner with and how you move is important. So, networking is very important. So who you network in the company, what's your relationship with your manager or, your peers are important. So I think there's challenges just from a community perspective. And I'll give, you know, an example. There's things we have at Amazon called affinity groups, and a lot of other organizations have ERGs or employee resource groups, to where you can find people that have an affinity or care about the same things that you care about. So, at Amazon, we have the Black Employee Network. Um, and I found that right after I first joined the company, they had some events. So I went to some of the events and networked, and it's amazing, especially in the area and buildings you're at, just how strong allyship and networking it is, because they may have answers on how to do something that maybe your manager might not know or have or be willing to share. So I think being strategic in who you network with, ask questions to, is important. And I'll jump back to the persistence piece. If there's something you want, keep going after it, even when told no. Maybe it's now circle back in a month. Maybe it's now ask a different person. Maybe it's, maybe they're saying no because they don't know versus they want to hold you back. But be very persistent, be strategic are my two themes I deal with challenging things at organizations.
Thank you. Did anyone else want to add to that?
Sharnika, I feel like I want to add, but can you ask the whole question again for me if you don't mind?
Yes. Did you encounter any challenges academically and in the workplace, and how did you successfully overcome them?
Ooh, I'm gonna be real. Sometimes, yeah, yes, I have. More so in the workplace. Academically, my parents were really hard on me, and so I got in trouble for a B, and so that was kind of instilled in me. But in the workplace, what I found is being brown. There was this expectation of how I should respond, the level of my voice, the tone of my voice, and so being surrounded by people that didn't look like me. Sometimes things were triggering, they would say, and I'm just like, how insensitive, especially with what happened in the last 2 years between COVID and the Black Lives Matter protest, everything that was being seen on television. There was a lot of talk in the office. So one of my challenges, probably my biggest challenges, was my in-time response, and sometimes that looked like no response at all. I'm not a fan of immediate email responses, and so if I'll let the thread go on until the end of the day. Most of the times they'll answer the question before I respond, if I have to respond at all. But I just feel like my response should add value. I don't need to just say something just to say it. But specifically in those racial tension times, or when it's evident that there's some implicit bias present in the room, it was hard to keep my mouth closed. It was hard not to speak up for people that look like me. So what I found was, waiting until I would ask questions, not to go back to the Bible, but Jesus asked questions. And so I would ask questions to get people to really look inside to see what their challenge was with what was being said. So if somebody said something crazy to me, I'll say, so you're saying that you're saying that this Black Lives Matter mask is a political statement. Okay. So you know what? I disagree. I believe it's a statement of humanity. However, HR is responsible for handling whether or not we're allowed to wear those masks in there. Inside, I'm boiling. But if I respond any other way, honestly, there's this unspoken culture that, oh, all Black people respond like this, or all people of color respond like this. And so I found that to be a challenge. And I'm grateful that asking, being honest in a nice and kind way had opened up a lot of doors at companies. I was working for Northrop Grumman, and they started asking questions. I said, you should go up and ask people how they're doing. You don't have to target the headline. Be curious and ask people how they are. And you never know what could happen, because what I found on people that didn't look like us were scared to come and ask the question because they didn't want it to be a racially charged conversation. Just ask if people are okay, how you feeling on a consistent basis. But sorry to go on a tangent. That was my biggest challenge, is not trying to nuck if you buck when somebody's response was somebody's comment was a little heated.
Thank you. And I think I know that our students can carry that with them in school, even if it's just the part about asking people how they are, like asking your friends and your peers, even if you're not friends with a person, asking how they're doing and being willing to advocate for some of your peers who may not be willing to speak up for themselves. But did anyone else want to add to that? No? Oh, Ryan?
Yeah, I'll love to add just the fact of what Tierra and Michael said. Remaining authentic. That was something that I battled with very, very closely with the transition, into the career world. So remain authentic, and as Tierra mentioned, it's our responsibility as leaders to speak up when we stop and become uniform to things that we don't agree with. We're not going to we're not going to move the needle. And I've recognized that with the company that we work for currently. You have to continue to push the red tape and try and make change. So remain authentic, please.
Thank you. And that applies to our students too. Don't be afraid to even push sometimes or push back, and be the voice if you're a natural leader. And even if you're not, if there are opportunities to do this right, please do that. But Ryan, there was a question for you. Let me see if I can find it. It was around what it was like your football career. But if you can talk more about like what, yes, what was it like? And you can touch a little bit into the space you're in now.
No, yeah, for sure. I would say my football career was amazing because I lived my dream to play for Auburn University in college. I never had dreams or aspirations to play professional. So a lot of times, like I have an 11-year-old son, and he would tell me, "Ryan, he would say, Dad, like you were horrible in the NFL because my stats didn't say what Richard Sherman or the top athletes say right now." So he's like, your career wasn't that good. But again, I think from a dream standpoint, I was able to live my dream out. I played at Auburn University with Cam Newton. I won championships there. I was a starter my junior and senior season. So I would say my football career was amazing, where some of the kids on the call may call me like a has been. But um, the transition I would say is something that I prepared for my entire career as a student athlete. We were taught discipline, communication, just having to wake up early and kind of be in a regimen or some type of schedule. So I felt like I always had the skill sets to be a professional and make that transition. And I obtained my bachelor's degree in public administration, and I got my master's in adult education. So again, throughout my football career, I was always thinking, how is the transition going to be? Um, and as Michael mentioned earlier, networking. That was one of the huge assets of me being able to transition to the career that I'm in today. I was able to build networks of people who understood different lanes or different careers and help me with that transition, because as I mentioned earlier, it was something that was very difficult for me, who was an athlete my entire career. I lived, ate, breathed football. um, how do I make that transition? How do I remain professional? As Tierra mentioned, there are times where I want to push back, but as an athlete and as a minority man, how do I walk that line of being authentic and professional? So to answer the student's question, my football career, I would say, was amazing, and the transition was not difficult from a skill set standpoint, but again, the barrier was remaining authentic and confident in exactly who I was.
Thank you. Another question. What everyday skills can I use in tech? Michael.
Gosh, there are tons of everyday skills. I mentioned Amazon's a writing company, so writing. If you're an avid writer, I have someone on my team. They are just amazing at writing, and they dive very deep into issues and solving problems. They're great at writing. I think communicating is another everyday skill you can use. Some people on my teams, their first language is in English, so writing is difficult for them, and even speaking in meetings is difficult. A lot of them write out what they want to say before the meeting, and then actually refer to that to actually speaking and present different concepts. So I think a lot of skills that we learn in school, reading, writing, arithmetic, all the different areas like that are all important. And then communicating, explaining concepts and things for organizations and like different leaders, relating. Um, so I think there's tons of everyday skills you can use in tech. Tech is just a layer on top of something. So whether it's from the healthcare field to public service, tech is just I'll say almost a tool, but it's definitely something that can be applied in other things. So all the soft skills that you have are a part of tech and can be used every day as well.
I'd also add having a level of perseverance, because sometimes depending on what area of tech you're going into, like I've been on 16-hour troubleshooting calls, where we're just where we run into a problem, nothing makes sense, and you're just sitting at your desk like, why did I choose this? But just being able to woosah and just approach it piece by piece is a great fundamental skill. And some days, you use that and it's a problem you solve in 15 minutes. Some days it takes days or weeks to resolve an issue. But just being able to persevere, remain cool under the pressure, especially when your manager, who may or may not even be technical, is in your ear, like, why isn't this fixed yet? So just kind of having that good attitude, that perseverance, tenacity, all of that good stuff.
Sure. So I guess the next question we have here is, what made you guys get into, I'll say your fields, but question was cyber. For me, it was just, I always liked computers. I didn't even discover cybersecurity till like my junior year in college, my undergrad. So I think it's once I was exposed to a field and really enjoyed it. I sort of stumbled into it, but definitely interested in how everyone else got into their fields.
So for me, similar to you, always been interested in technology and computers. I attended a vocational high school where they provided job training for the students as well as college prep. So no matter which way you went, you had something to start with. And in my freshman year, I went in initially under graphic design. I do have a creative side, but my freshman year, we attended a program where all the seniors presented what projects they had worked on and what they had learned in their vocation slash trade career path program. And the students from the Cisco Networking Academy presented. And up until then, tech to me meant computer repair, hacking, or coding. Um, so when they presented what they had learned, it never occurred to me that there were people who were making the internet work. So that a light bulb just went off, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to learn that. I want to know everything there is about it. Um, so I switched over to the Cisco Networking Academy, and I've been with it ever since. I'm now looking to get more into the security side of things because my job does overlap a little bit with that, and it's an area of interest. But at that time, like making the internet work, mind blown. I want to know everything there is to know about it, and that's how I got into networking, network engineering.
Well, I am always hiring security, so happy to come over. Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Oh, Michael. Can you all hear me now? Am I back? Okay. All right. Did anyone else want to add to that, though? Good to go? Okay. What advice would you give your younger self? We're going to start with you, Ryan, and then go to Tierra, Deirra, and Michael.
Wow. I would say network. Network, network. Me, again, I was an athlete. I thought I was too cool for school. I did not, I didn't network how I should. And that was something that, we have to put our pride and ego to the side. When I was in college, I would go to practice and go back to the dorm rooms or go to class, come back to the dorm rooms. When it came down to, the career nights, even joining panels like this, it was just something that I didn't do as much as I should. So again, everyone on the call definitely commends you for being a part of this because this is just the beginning. So uh, I would tell my younger self to not be so prideful, not be too cool for school, and network as much as you can and meet professionals that align with things that you'd like to do.
To answer that question, I would say I would tell my younger self that you are enough. Um, there's enough. There's one Elon Musk. There's one, Bill Gates, and there's one Tierra Lathan. So I am enough, and I think that if we really channel that confidence at a young age, when we go in to step into the room, we understand that there's something I bring to the room that someone else doesn't have, just as there's something that someone else brings to the room that I don't have. And so that would be on repeat because I battled confidence going into my field, not feeling like I was enough. And now I go into interviews and I'm getting job offers out of the wazoo. And all I'm doing is I committed to just being me. I'm not the most technical person. I only went back to school because I wanted to better serve the people I was leading. I wanted to understand their day-to-day life a little bit more. Um, and just being me has opened up more opportunities than I ever could imagine. And so I would just say, I am enough as me. It's only one me.
Yeah, definitely everything Ryan and Tierra said. Also, I'd say um, I wish I had spent more time on my figuring out what I wanted to specialize in. I spent the first 5 years of my career in a environment where we had to be generalists, so I didn't get to I didn't apply much thought to what I wanted to specialize in. I'll say that because I did get to touch a lot of things. So I would have specialized a little bit earlier and then taken just some of that time and anxiety about certifications and should I get this certification, and kind of just being on that, trying to learn all the things. So that would be my advice.
Other than repeat everything, other than network, all the things. I would say pay attention in school. You'd be surprised how much, some of those interview questions will be some of the same knowledge and things you learned in school, to where they're, if you take any like the tech classes or networking classes, when they ask you that question of what is DNS kind of thing, like I know they went over in school and that teacher talked about all that stuff. And if I paid attention, I can answer this question better than I answered it. But really have a deep understanding of the stuff you're being taught and how to apply it, because I promise you will see many of the other things again, especially if you're going into the field that it's related in. So, pay attention to math. Math is always important if it's doing metrics in a tech piece, or if it's, counting the zeros in your check, it's important. And then reading, you got to be able to understand and comprehend questions. Writing, again, is always important. So pay attention in school, learn all that you can, and as much depth as you can, and really apply it. So that's what I tell my younger self. Actually pay attention to the things the teacher's writing on the board. It's important. It's going to come back.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I think that concludes our time. We've gotten through our questions. There's one other question, but it's quite, you all kind of answered it in your last answer. So I want to thank you for joining us and for sharing. Thank you to our students for listening, and to Adrienne for having us. Thank you. Yes. Great job, panelists.
There is one more question. Somebody asked, "Is hacking bad in certain ways?" Maybe I
Oh,
put
well,
in
let's
there a couple
answer.
of times.
Okay.
I'll let the cybersecurity folks answer that.
That's another. I always get all the tough questions. It depends. What's the intent in doing it? We have red teams that they hack systems to make them better. We have people that hack to make sure it's of good quality before we ship it out. There are other actors that don't hack with good intent, and therefore that's probably not the best thing to do. But I think intent matters in hacking. Now, whether illegal, there's a I would need a lawyer to truly answer a lot of these questions, because there's a lot of gray areas here. But I think intent matters, and then you should only do it when you're allowed to do it as well. So that's my quick answer.
Thank you. Okay. If there's any other questions, we certainly want to answer all questions.
Let's just make sure that the student who asked that question thinks about getting into a cybersecurity background.
For the United States.
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
I'm sure there are programs and internships and things out there that we definitely have for that from a DoD perspective, and even Amazon perspective as well. So there's tons we can connect you. Network.
Awesome. Going through to make sure we did anything else. I think you kind of answered this, Ryan. That's why you fall to tech.
Um, I'm sorry. What was that question?
It was why did you go from football to tech?
Football to tech. Wow. The purpose. I think one of our other panelists mentioned that no, I think it was Michael, that he kind of fell into the career, or the career path or the interest. Again, when I finished playing football, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to help like-minded people and student athletes find a respectable career. So when I joined Amazon, that was my conversation with my recruiter. I want to and join a talent acquisition team where I can create opportunity. And that opportunity came with AWS Security, in which I had to recruit software developers, cybersecurity managers, and I had zero experience. But my background as a student athlete allowed me to ask the correct questions, to learn, um, and digest that information. So, uh, what made me transition from football to tech? It just fell in my lap where I was a tech recruiter. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to create opportunity.
Ryan, I have a question, and this could pertain to Michael as well. What type of person or individual contributor does or leader does AWS look for?
Wow, I'll let Michael start that because he obviously is leading a team from a management standpoint. So I'd love to hear what his thoughts are there.
Yeah, definitely good question. I think initially, it, it looked see, can you do the job? But I think a more broader Amazonian answer would be, do they embody the leadership principles? So we have leadership principles throughout the organization of things like customer obsession, learn and be curious, insist on the high standards, hire and develop the best. There's so many of those. And largely, whether they're an individual contributor or the leader, we look, do you embody those leadership principles? And we even interview based off them on the question. So, if it's learn and be curious, do you have the curiosity to like go out and figure something out, or do you have the ability to learn more than required for your role? We don't look for someone who to just clock in, do their job and leave. We look for embodying these principles throughout whatever it is you do, whether it's leading or doing the role itself. So that's my Amazonian answer.
Yeah, and from a recruiting aspect, I'd say speaking of the being able to tell the story, being able to tell the story from beginning to end when you speak with managers, when you go through the interview process of exactly what you've done. Again, even if it's personal projects, I've been a part of so many, candidates come through who are great talent, and they've done so many great things, whether it's independently starting their own startup businesses, whatever the case is. Be able to tell that story from beginning to end. That's the STAR method. And I know a lot of companies use that as well, but it's just very important on top of all of the points that Michael mentioned.
Thank you both. Okay, I'm checking again to make sure we didn't miss anything. Any other questions? No? Okay, I believe we are truly at time this time. So thank you all again. Thank you to our students, and thank you to Adrian and the Flash Tech Summit for having us.